Today, we're going to talk to the Johnson team in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and take a look at how they created a hybrid form system with us at the bar agency, leveraging both a custom form and also their SISU forms that they already had built out and were using at a high level. We also leaned into their native FUB and SISU integration to take advantage of all of the great features that native integration has to offer. We basically started by creating a landing page and a single URL that would launch the form and then give them the opportunity to create a new deal or update something existing. When creating a new deal, that's usually going to be done at the point of an appointment set stage, where you want to log the appointment and take advantage of some of the automations and integrations that we can trigger using our custom form system. Then, once they're ready to update an existing deal, they'll see those existing deals and the options available down here below. And that's going to feed directly into their SISU forms, looking something like this, where we can select from the options available for each different step and stage of the process. When you click the link, it's going to take you to the SISU form that you're trying to get to update your deal, and then the agent can fill it out directly inside of SISU. Again, this is a great hybrid model, leveraging both the custom form systems that we can help build and create, and also the native SISU forms and FUB and SISU integration for the best of both worlds, for a little quicker and easier build, and also giving us the opportunity to still leverage a lot of custom integrations and automations using our custom form, and also to feed some data and information over into SISU that doesn't go over as a part of the native integration. So let's take a look and learn more. Hey guys, we are here today with Dan Noel from the Johnson team and talking a little bit more about the form system that we created that is a little bit of a hybrid model between a custom form system and then leveraging the SISU forms that their team uses on a very high level. They're using SISU in a great way for their business right now. So Dan, if you don't mind, we'd love to hear a little bit more about you and your business and where y'all are located.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Dan Noel. I'm the CEO of the Johnson team. Uh, my last name's not Johnson because I'm not the owner of the team, but I've been on board with Jeff since the early days back in 2016. And then over time, he was able to work himself out of the day-to-day operations. And that's my hat now that I wear. And so we're here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We are a Zilla Flex team, and we do anywhere from, we'll just talk about the better years, 350 to 400 units a year. Yeah, that's about it on that one. Tech stack, if you'd like me to talk about that, I can kind of tell you what we're using.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, can you tell me too, roughly what's like the size of the team, number of agents and staff that
Yeah.
you have? That'd be great.
Yeah, so we have, I think, about 18 agents right now, and we run pretty lean on administrative staff. It's me, my executive assistant, Aaron, and then we have a virtual assistant, Hanny.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead and share with us a little bit more about your tech stack and how you guys are using those systems.
Sure, yeah. So we switched to Follow Up Boss actually at the advice of Justin from Bar Agency. Um, and that was about 2 years ago. So Follow Up Boss is our main CRM. We use Sisu more for our kind of dashboard and reporting and also transaction management. And prior to bringing Bar on board, I did a lot of the back end, lots of Zapier automations and things like that. Had no experience with that before kind of self-teaching how to go through all that stuff. And so now I don't know if I could list our full tech stack because I don't manage most of it anymore.
I'm actually surprised to hear that you didn't have background with Zapier and things like that because you're pretty tech savvy. So that's impressive. It was all self-taught. All right. So with the form system that we set up together, can you tell me a little bit more about that specifically and any problem we were trying to solve or solution we were trying to come up with and why that sort of came to be to integrate FUB and SISU for you guys and transfer all of that transactional information?
Yeah, so we knew we really liked Sisu. It was working very, very well for us. Prior to Follow Up Boss, we were using Active Campaign, not really for what its primary, not really as the marketing automator that it's generally used as, but really as our CRM. It was very customizable, but also really buggy for what we were doing. So when we switched to Follow Up Boss, we saw that a lot of those issues went away, but we still had the persistent issue of just incomplete and often inaccurate data in Sisu. So, when I'm trying to, especially running a lean administrative staff, when I'm trying to figure out how we can improve conversions and bring in more revenue, first place I like to look is kind of the micro conversions, right? Like the steps between lead to conversation to appointment set to appointment met to showing them homes to signing an agency agreement. And of course, different steps for listings, all the way through to closing and referrals. And we had some of the key steps were always recorded accurately. For example, under contract, we always knew when that happened, and closing dates, we knew when those happened. But I was having a really hard time getting a feel for some of those leading metrics for how our agents were doing with um, having the number of conversations they needed to get to that next appointment, for example. So, and that just came down simply to bad data entry from realtors, which I know is shocking to anyone who's ever worked with realtors that they're not great at recording their data accurately. But my agents, oddly enough, aren't. So we needed to make that easy. And we started with interface, and that helped quite a bit. It was just not customizable enough for us. Like you mentioned, we do use Sisu at a really high level. I like to make sure, and a lot of that is because I want to capture all of the things I need to make sure that when the transaction is over, we can do a really, really good job of follow up and make sure that we're getting that business back in the future. So interface was just a little bit too limited, a little clunky for us, and what we really wanted to do was keep our agents from have operating out of Sisu for data entry because then our CRM wasn't updated, but we needed the information to carry over clearly, and we needed to be able to dictate what information we needed. So after talking with you, Jamie, we landed on this form system, and basically the way this is working is it is directing our agents into Sisu, but it's doing it in a way where I'm not having to kind of say, hey, go into Sisu and fill out all the information I need, or don't forget to fill out this form, because the only way that they're getting their CRM updated, which they tend to be a little bit better at, they want, for example, for their CRM to show that they're under contract or that they have met an appointment. The only way for them to do that is using this form, which then directs them to Sisu, and then Sisu sends that information over to Follow Up Boss. So it's made our data entry substantially better, and it's really simple because there's just one link that our agents go to in Follow Up Boss every time they need to set an appointment, if they've met an appointment, if they have signed, if they're under contract, or if they're closed. They go to the same form, they click the update, and it takes them directly where they need to be in Sisu. The other perk of that is that means I can customize what data I'm collecting at any time. So, we find a hole in our operations, or maybe we find that we have information we don't need anymore. I don't have to call interface and say, can you change this to this and make it a drop down and try that and hope that it gets done correctly. I just go into Sisu and make the changes that I need to make.
Right, exactly. And I agree. I think that this was such a great solution so that there was a certain amount of like management that you guys could do more self-sufficiently. And then also it was, you know, we work with a lot of teams where a fully custom form system is really what they want and need for their purposes. This worked so great for you guys, I felt like, and was a great solution. Our developer, Davis, worked with this on this and put it together in a really beautiful way too. Have that hybrid model where it didn't take quite as long to set up and get going because we are leaning into those native Sisu forms, but we kind of have that first launching point where that is that custom form and kind of a landing page where they have that direct access to the other forms depending on how they're wanting to possibly update deals or make changes. So I agree. I think that was a great solution. And thank you so much for sharing all of that. If
Yeah,
you
and I would just add also, I think there's a little nuance that's important that you just made me think of, which is that there are things that you can't do directly between an integration between SISU and FUB. I mean, that's ultimately what this is relying on, but it can't do everything that you need it to do. And that's where Davis came in. Adding the retool form means that then I can say, hey, there's this thing that needs to happen when this other thing happens, or 3 days after this thing happens, or whatever. And he can go into the back end of retool and add that in as a step that is not available in the automations and follow up boss and is not available from the integration between SISU and follow up boss because it's kind of this go between. But we're relying on those native solutions as much as we can so that we have less opportunity for bugs to occur. And then when we need that unique solution, Davis can implement it.
Exactly. And there's less of a need then for workflow runs or tasks or things like that that you guys, end up paying for inside of that third-party integration system, retools,
Yep.
after that might be, because we can lean into that native integration for a lot of things. So that's great. Do you mind sharing a little bit from your own perspective, kind of walking through how you're using this, how it looks,
Sure.
what you're doing with it?
You want me to share my screen?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
So here we are in follow up boss. Am I sharing the right screen?
Yeah, that's great. We can see it.
Even better.
Yep.
Even better. Okay, great. So we just have this deal form that lives right here. And so anytime one of those key conversions happens, an agent can just click on the deal form. It's going to take them into Retool and it pulls in, Retool's now pulling in all of the data that it has from Follow Up Boss. And this was a huge, really important component of this was that um, no matter how many times you tell an agent, no, you don't need to put that there. You need to put it here. Like it's not doing any good. Don't change that manually. Do it here. They still tend to see a button and click it. And that is usually not harmful, but it also isn't helpful. So this is pulling in throughout the process any of the data that we already have. For example, there's already a deal that was created here. So rather than relying on an agent to go into Follow Up Boss and create a deal, which I don't even remember how to do anymore because there we go. And remember to create a deal. We used to very frequently have duplicate deals created because they would forget that they already have one in pipeline and they need to update this instead of creating a new one. Now it's saying it's just putting it right front and center. And there's 3 lines to look at instead of an entire busy screen of Follow Up Boss where an agent in the middle of their workday maybe isn't looking at all of these lines and asking themselves all these questions. They're looking at 3 things. Is this my name? Is this the client's name? And oh, do I need to update this deal? Yeah, I do.
And can
And then
I
they
also
click, yeah.
interrupt real quick and say that one of the things that I love about what kind of came out of this project is the fact that the way that your team specifically works, you were like, I really don't want my agents on our deal board. And it makes so much sense. The native SISU integration is tied directly with the deal board, which it makes sense that it is since SISU's the transactional platform for it to be tied in with the deal board where we're managing the different transactions. But I also agree that sometimes navigating the agents out of that lead profile and telling them, oh, you have to go here to this deal card to do these activities or find a link, that's not always something that's going to end up translating well as far as whether or not they do that consistently or know where to find what they're looking for, et cetera. So I think having this set up where they can just click it in a link in the custom forms in the lead profile and not have to go do anything on the actual deal card, but have it translate all there so that it's mapping into SISU the way we want and all of that great stuff, I think was just a really great idea on your part and a great solution for your team.
Yeah, and I think it is important to realize that like there are other ways to do this. If I were sitting down with somebody and they were saying, look what I had created here, I might ask, well, why didn't you just use the deal board? Why didn't you just do it in Sisu? They have an integration. And the answer is that for us and the way that our business flowed, we had tried those things and they didn't work. We weren't getting reliable. We just couldn't get reliable adherence to the process from our agents. And so we couldn't trust any of our data because that's the way it goes, right? If a third of your data is duplicated or missing, then you don't trust any of it and you don't know which is which. And so we needed to find a way to make the human component interact better with the tech stack. And that's what this does. Yeah, so then they can just click update. And then again, because these forms are customizable, one example of an improvement that we were able to make is uh, if an agent skips from pipeline to buyer under contract, that would be a problem if we were relying on deal changes to create action plans and follow-up boss, or if we were relying on a specific form in SISU. But we were able to build these out so that when they, I might have to click it again. Yep. When they click buyer under contract. Oh, I deleted this deal. It's a terrible example. Let's just create a new deal
Yeah.
because I deleted that one out of SISU. Okay, so I can say buyer
Mm.
and we'll start. We always are starting with the appointment set in Retool. Everything else gets done in SISU, and Retool is just sort of the go-between. So I can say I'm meeting them for a showing. If I need to add a second client, I can. If there's already a secondary contact or relationship one, what Follow Up Boss calls it, then it will already be here. So that's another great thing, that if the agent has already done it, they don't need to do it again. And if they aren't sure if they've done it, they can always just check and it'll be here, which was another thing that was missing with interface. So I'm going to leave that blank because I don't want to waste your time. We'll just say I'm meeting today at 12 a.m. and it's for an hour and it's going to be at our office. And no, I don't want to send them a confirmation email. No one else set the appointment for me. It's not a referral. Submit. And now it tells me I'm free to exit. And if I refresh here, oh, but it was already there. I didn't need to refresh. Now we have our appointment set deal. So again, we used to tell agents, don't forget, go in here and update their deal. They just wouldn't do it. And what they would do instead is just change the stage up here to appointment met, and then we didn't get the data that we needed. So now they just know no matter what, they don't have to remember if it's this, go here, if it's this, go there. It's always go to the deal form.
And I will say, I
So,
believe we have this set up to update those stages along with as these are being completed. But I think because we've tested on this one so much and there's been other appointments in the past, it didn't shift it.
oh, I didn't notice. Was it not? Yeah, yeah.
But we
It's
do
this
actually
one's
have
kind
a
of a
way to
mess.
automate all of that as well, right? So it's adding the notes, it's updating the stage. We're doing a couple of different things along
Yep.
with, yeah, filling out the form.
Creating the calendar invite, all of that stuff. Yep. I didn't even notice that it hadn't updated. But yeah, when we play around with these tests too long, they kind of break. Okay. So then we will update this one. And again, ideally our agents are going in at the time they meet an appointment and they're clicking this, but we were able to make it a little bit error proof here and say, okay, well, for sure they want their TC to do their tasks. So they're at least going to mark it under contract when it is. And at this point, then all of the information that if we had done all of our other steps properly, if we had filled out the appointment met form and the signed form, a lot of this information would already be there. But it's not, and it's fine because it lives in SISU. So if they've entered it, it's already there. They can skip it. If they haven't entered it, it's not going to let them move forward until they do. And so now I always have all of the information I need at each stage for our transaction coordinators to do their job, for our administrative staff to do our job, and for follow-up to happen after closing to make sure that we're capturing future business. Is that a good enough overview there?
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you so much for walking through it, Dan. Do you feel like this has been a good solution for you guys? It's been working well for the team and helping accomplish all of the things that where we were needing to maybe close some gaps or find some solutions for different things for you guys.
Yeah, I think the best thing about it is there is no perfect solution that lasts forever because we change the way we operate. And that has been the problem, is that over the years, I'll find a solution and then I'll kind of outgrow it for one reason or another. And with this being so little of it outside of my control, I mean, I change the forms if I need to. Very rarely do I need to have anything done that isn't just in my day-to-day operations. So it grows with me, and we've continued to modify it several times since we implemented it just a handful of months ago.
Yep. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing
Sure.
about your team and the project. And yeah, this has been great.
Thanks for taking care of us. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.